Gears of War has been officially announced for the PS5. And with this move, Xbox takes one more step closer to the goal of being a full third-party developer with their games available to every gamer anywhere there is a device. Xbox will be able to provide all their games to everyone, or in other words, as they say it, everything is an Xbox. And this marks 2 games. Forza Horizon came out on the PS5, and with Gears coming in August, this is going to be the biggest year where Xbox really makes it a point to provide their games to as many people as possible. Everything is an Xbox. And it's no surprise that this new initiative is working, because what started as just a few games years ago has pretty much become all games, and of the Xbox IPs, only Halo remains as the one game that is not on PlayStation yet. But with Gears being announced and coming, it's pretty much secured that Halo should be coming hopefully by the end of the year. Every game that has been announced on the PlayStation so far has actually done really well on the PlayStation. And this is the reason why we're seeing more and more games being ported over, because it turns out that even though gamers don't want to buy an Xbox because they don't want to spend another $500 on a console, they are perfectly willing to buy, and not just GamePass, but to buy Xbox games, showing that even though the Xbox brand is not as strong as it used to be, Xbox games, on the other hand, are very much desired by gamers. It's just that they don't want to buy an Xbox to play them. And yes, I do understand that this is sad for a lot of people, because when Xbox first started, I believe in 1998, I believe that's when the first Xbox came out.
First time, let me now unveil Xbox.
Well, was it 2000? One of those. It's clear that the plan wasn't this. The problem is that the Xbox brand has never been able to surpass the PlayStation on any ground, with the Xbox 360 being the closest they ever got to mounting a successful campaign against the PlayStation, but then they promptly lost all of that during the Xbox One era. And of course, we all know this as one of the most infamous stories in gaming.
TV and movies? TV. Xbox. Watch TV. TV. TV, TV, TV.
Sports.
When Xbox showcased the Xbox One, rather than focusing on the gaming, they decided to focus on other parts of the console, including how to share games. That was so baffling that to beat the Xbox One, the only thing PlayStation had to do was just to make a quick video showing people how to share their games.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
Thanks.
PlayStation.
And that was it. That, combined with the fact that the Xbox One really had no clear-cut direction, by the time that console came out, by the time it reached about 3 years, most gamers who had switched from PlayStation to Xbox in the previous year were switching back to PlayStation. And not only that, Xbox ended up losing a lot more gamers. And this particular era was staggering, because not only did the confusion about the Xbox One turn many gamers away, it didn't help that, as Phil Spencer says it,
we lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games.
Where most gamers had a digital library on their console or their PC, so making it hard for them to look elsewhere for gaming, because all of the gaming they want is on their console. It really was a bad era for Xbox to lose, even when they attempted acquisitions to try and regain some lost ground. The problem is this: even Halo has shown that that brand is not strong enough to sell consoles. That, yes, people love Master Chief, but again, people are not willing to pay $600 to buy an Xbox console just to play Master Chief, the next logical step is for Xbox to release those games on the PS5. And honestly, Halo Infinite was a good game. It reviewed really well. People loved it. They had a few botched attempts at the multiplayer, but overall, the gamers showed that when it comes to Master Chief, they're still pretty much on board as long as you give them a good game and as long as you put it in more places for them to play it. And as the years progressed, it became pretty clear that the Xbox brand wasn't enough to sell consoles, and so Xbox tried a new strategy, which was to acquire a bunch of companies to bolster their sales. One of those companies being Activision Blizzard, which of course I think was the most pivotal point as far as what became of Xbox, where are they now, and how did they get there? If you want to know that, that question goes back to that acquisition. For Xbox to regain the grounds they lost, they attempted to buy a bunch of companies, spending upwards of with the hopes that that's going to bring in gamers to go and buy the Xbox Series S and X to play particularly Call of Duty. The problem for Xbox is a simple one. Your consoles aren't selling, but you're still spending hundreds of millions of dollars making games, but if your consoles aren't selling, that means that those games are not getting bought, which means that all the money you're spending making those games is essentially going to waste. And it doesn't help that you spent $100 billion to acquire some of these companies. And we saw this happen with the Call of Duty acquisition, because in order for Xbox to get the acquisition to go through, because the US government came after them for anti-competitive practices, and prior to that, years ago, the brilliant idea came that what if Xbox just puts their games on PC, same day release as the Xbox, and that was meant to bolster the sales of those games, because of course a lot of people play games on PC. But with the release of the PS5, it became pretty clear that most gamers prefer a powerful console to play their games rather than an expensive PC. So even with Xbox games on PC day one, it really didn't help to improve the image of the Xbox brand. And the spending of $100 billion to acquire a game like Call of Duty was pretty much their last attempt to mount an offensive, and really it didn't work. And honestly, it's a good thing, because Call of Duty isn't doing so well right now in the eyes of those who play the game the most. And the vast amounts of money that Xbox spent to acquire those companies, which by the way they couldn't back out of, because if they had backed out of that Activision Blizzard deal when the US government came after them, they would have paid Bobby Kotick $3 billion. It really was a switching of strategy that we've spent so much money acquiring these games, they're not selling, we need a way to sell them. And the best option was just to say, look, let's just forget about the Xbox console and just focus exclusively on those games that we're making and just put those games everywhere. And so far, again, that strategy has been working, and this is the reason why we're seeing more and more games come to PlayStation. And we don't need to talk very much about Call of Duty, honestly, because $70 billion, the question is, did they recoup how much they've spent on that game? Chances are they have, but we still need to acknowledge that Call of Duty has been plagued with non-stop cheating scandals, where even the biggest content creators, supporters of that game, have moved on to other games from the conclusion that there's no way Call of Duty could be fixed.
I don't blame them. Why would they play this?
Yep. This is crazy.
It's kind of the flip side of SBMM. I was talking about this on Twitter the other day.
And that no one really knows how to handle this cheating problem that's completely destroyed pretty much every good grace the game has received over the last 20 years. So needless to say, it was a really bad time for Xbox to spend so much money on a game that was popular but has a lot of issues and now has a lot of competitors. And the purchase of Activision Blizzard was a really big one, because this was the purchase that officially brought in Microsoft into the Xbox debate, with Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, pretty much taking over Xbox. And Satya Nadella made it very clear and very loud that going forward, Xbox would no longer have exclusive games, and all those games will be available everywhere. And again, it seems pretty clear that this strategy is working. So I believe Xbox is going to give us more and more games, that most Xbox games, if not all, are going to be on every console available, because yes, this is Microsoft's promise, and because that promise came from the CEO, there's really no way for them to back out of this. So yes, I do believe we're going to get Halo pretty soon. And let me just say this, this is really good for gamers. I don't own an Xbox because, again, I don't want to spend money to buy another console. I have a PC, I have a PS5 Pro, and that's enough. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to play Xbox games. As a matter of fact, I'm playing Forza Horizon 5 right now, and I love that game. I've never played Gears of War, and I would love to play Gears of War. Am I going to buy a console just to play it? No, I won't. But if you provide it to me in a console that I already own, yes, I would gladly spend the money to play those games, because I do believe that Xbox makes really good games. It's just that the Xbox brand isn't strong enough to carry and sell those games.